Hello, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay, and I will share this screen and away we go. So good to be with you today. Appreciate your attendance. I'm gonna share with you 5 slides on a PowerPoint, and then show you the RMA dashboard and a fires comparison spreadsheet, something new from 2021. Before I do, I wanted to express my gratitude to the support I received from RMS and from WFAM leadership, but particularly a few of the analysts, namely Lauren Miller, who's behind the dashboard, and Kit, who's been from the very beginning in support of many of the analytics, as well as Jessica Haas and Ben Gannon with the fire comparison spreadsheet and some of the other analytics. There's many others to note, but those will be the ones that I'm showing you some of the examples today. So let me maximize this, and then I'll give you just a little bit of a history on risk management assistance. So back in 2017, senior fire leaders cast a small group of us. There's about half of us left. I think Tim Sexton's one of those original members, and Dave Calkin and myself. We had some very challenging fire seasons, 15, 16, and concern of that this was becoming a new norm. And we were tasked with, what kind of things could we do to help us with what appears to be several challenging decades ahead. And so this is a Forest Service initiative. We got together, and risk management assistance really was developed and was in response to those senior fire leaders. It was also influenced by the Life First initiative with the Forest Service, where we pulled firefighters and asked them where was there unnecessary risk. And it's also definitely driven by some of the current policy and direction that we've been receiving. Of course, the cohesive strategy, but more recent, the shared stewardship, the executive orders, the omnibus, and the Dingle Act. And so, keeping it simple, the goals of RMA really is to achieve improved outcomes that we hope will lead to better, improved decisions and safer outcomes. And by so doing, leveraging structured decision making and analytics. There's really 3 focus areas: pre-season and post-season, and then support during the fire season, and also line officer development. So a few things that we have been focusing on pre and post season is potential control lines and pods, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about today, potential operational delineations. But we also help serve up and facilitate the use of the quantitative risk assessments, which we're starting to see at the forest level as well as the region, and strategic response zones, incorporating them into that. And then collaboration with our partners and communities, and trying to institutionalize some of these emerging analytics that show a lot of promise into WFDS Next Gen. And then lastly, supportive training and online, of course, now, and dashboards and those kinds of things to disseminate this information. So to give you a feel for how this has emerged, in 17, we were really RMAT, risk management assistance teams, and we literally were a group of 10 or so that went to an incident, worked with the incident management team and the line officers, and showed in some of these analytics and facilitated some of these discussions. We reached about 11 incidents in 17, and then you can see in 18 we pushed even harder, which was quite exhaustive, and we went to 16 different incidents. But Kit and I started to do behind the scenes, started to support things virtually. And so we also helped with 19 virtual assignments. In 19, which we all know was a quiet year, and I hope we get another one in 2022 and 2023 and 4 and 5. But it was nice. We were able to support 29 incidents or so. And then in 2020, we had a pretty grueling year, as all of you know. We were able to support 66 incidents, but all of them at this stage were virtual, same within 19. And we started disseminating the information, having it preloaded in FireNet, and then we started developing that RMA dashboard And I'll put the link after this little presentation in the chat if none of you, so all of you have it. So I estimated we had 11 different analysts with RMA that developed maybe 650 different products. Well, in 2021, we really embraced the RMA dashboard, tried to point everybody to that. We did also produce some things per request and fire specific, but we were able to assist with 113 different incidents. You know, this is not just Forest Service incidents. We've never turned down any one of the other agencies and support them leveraging these analytics, although this is a Forest Service initiative, as well as state and counties were using it. So most of those were large fires, and they were all virtual. And then last slide here, you know, these analytics and processes have been inserted in the whole phase of the fire cycle, you know, from that initial framing to operations, long-term assessment, to the reevaluation and the change of the course of action, to reinforcing that decision, just to say, you know, hey, we believe we've done what we think, but can we have some of these analytics to help us to maybe refine what we have decided, or are we in alignment with what the analytics speak? And then there's a lot that use it for AARs and reviews and sometimes investigations. So here is the risk management assistance dashboard. I wanted to show you this. And I'm gonna, you know, in the sake of time, I can't show you a lot, but I did wanted to show you the dashboard itself. You know, the audience to the dashboard are line officers, are folks on teams, and those fire management, fire staff, assistant FMOs, that kind of thing in the field. That is the primary users, but there's a lot of other users that use it well, like the fire analysts, planners. And you move from left to right, and you just click through the series of these tabs. And so what I wanted to show you, and I have them ready to go here up at the top, I wanted to show you the map viewer tab. I wanted to show you some of these analytics that those folks that are going to talk about the case studies will definitely talk about more in greater detail. So here's the all layers on the left, and here's that map viewer tab, and you can see this is the Bootleg fire, a little tiny fire in southwest Oregon, southeast Oregon. And then you can just click on different things. There's the 2020 fires, but I wanted to show you some of the things that we'll talk about today so that you know you can access them. The potential operations pods are on there. So this is for the Fremont Wainema. You can see those pods. We have them for many, many areas in the country now. Another layer that's of great interest recently has been the housing unit density layer from Pyrologics. You know, this is Lakeview down here, and you can see the deeper purples are where people live. Yeah, it really brings a lot of context and urgency to what we do. Another layer that's layers that are on this dashboard, and this is being aggregated up by Six Field Watershed, are the quantitative risk assessments for this. So this is that all lands risk assessment. And those areas in red or orange are those areas that if that entire watershed were to burn, there would be a potential loss. And then the greens actually show those areas of potential benefit. Continuing down, here's the suppression difficulty index. Here's the potential control locations. The estimated ground evac, this is that same that we find in WFDS. Here's the snag hazard. And those were the key ones I wanted to show you. So I'll put that link in there, take a look at this dashboard and start using it. One thing that I feel like has been a long time in coming, and I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish this fire season, was we were able to get a lot of these analytics into the geographic areas GACs, and that was phenomenal, as well as NMAC, the national MAC, to help aid in the prioritization of our finite resources. And so hopefully you can see this okay. What we did was we took fire growth modeling, we grabbed and intersected it with risk assessment information, and then it yielded information like this. essentially an exposure analysis looking at what potential loss. And so this was from August 28th to September 1st. This is for the nation. Grabbed some of the largest prominent fires, and we looked at housing unit density and from the hued in layer I showed you earlier, purple one, Microsoft buildings. Also looked at population, and we looked at critical infrastructure and drinking water, major roads. We also looked at commercial timber in some cases, as well as suppression difficulty. And then we were able to, you could sort it and look at which fires were of priority. Taking it a step further, we were able to develop this prioritization tab for particularly NMAC. So if our concern was to homes and other buildings, here is the ranking based on potential loss over the next, this was for the next 5 days. If it was just critical infrastructure, here are the fires that the science and this data would indicate would be the priority. And there's drinking water, major roads. One way that was excellent in viewing these things were what we call radar charts. Aaron had used these prior, and we did a few tweaks and started displaying the information not only in a spreadsheet and on those tabs, but also in this a graphical radar format. Spider webs, many of them called them. But this is the California fires for this same time frame, and you can see if for the Caldor fire during that time frame, it was going to impact the most structures, people, timber, drinking water, and roads out of all the fires. There was some critical infrastructure concern on French fire. There was definitely drinking water concern on Walker's, California. So these kinds of information were sent to the regions. I know firsthand for NMAC, the National MAC, they were using these initially to help inform how they moved Type 1 crews. With time, they started using them to help inform Type 2 crews. And by the end of the fire season, they were also using it to help inform where they would place Type 1 and Type 2 teams. For instance, on Caldor, I was called when it was, about 800 acres. If this was what the modeling would indicate the size of this fire could be and conditions, and if it warranted their very last Type 1 team. And I adamantly told them it did based on everything we were seeing. But I think it's fantastic that we've started to leverage these quantitative analytics to help us make better risk-informed decision making.